conversation with Zack Scicluna. I hope you're doing well. And we're just covering another topic here, real estate related. We're going to be talking about what does submitting an offer mean and what does it look like. So if you're considering purchasing a home of any kind, whether it's investment or you're selling your home to buy a new home, or you're just buying a first home to you, or any of the components, if you're going to put an offer into the house because you want it, or the property of any kind, there's a couple similar scenarios. There's a couple overlying things here, and it's called submitting an offer. So the way it'll work is there's some foreground that we would have to cover, in the sense that we want to get you pre-qualified, because we want to make sure that your goals are going to match with the financial components of what you're trying to achieve. And then once we've reached that, we're going to then move towards submitting an offer. And this is one of those things where having the best agent in your corner, like myself, is going to be able to get the best offer typed up and submitted for you, that's justified and has summaries and straightforwardness to it, so we can portray exactly what we're trying to achieve to those seller parties. Keeping an offer streamlined is huge. Unfortunately, I see so many offers come in, they're so convoluted. There's checked boxes here and there, and they want this done but not that, and then all this extra stuff. And to a seller, that can be off-putting when you start putting a Rolodex of listed items of things you want, personal items with your house or furniture and things like that. It just starts to get not overwhelming for most sellers, but it can get tricky for most sellers, because again, you have to assume that the other party isn't as thorough as us, and so we have to kind of do their job for them, and we have to lay it right out there and make it just nice and easy, straight to the point. So when we submit an offer, what I do recommend is, again, look at enough homes to know when a good deal is a good deal, and when you find that good deal, we want to commit to it, whether that's just being very aggressive on price, or just being right on where you want to be with your goals price wise, but just coming into that with that being the main thing. And then the further dynamics is there's going to be just some straightforward questions, and it's going to be purchase price is one thing. Next thing we're going to talk about is how long you want the escrow to be. So for example, that's going to weigh differently to each seller. For example, I've seen sellers where they want like a 45 or 60 day escrow because they want time to pack and move, and then they just want as much time as possible. And even on the buy side, sometimes you need more time because you have a unique file. But that being said, the average time we're going to put in there is going to be somewhere between 20 and 30 days if we're doing some kind of financing of some kind. And then if it's cash, it's totally up to you on how we want to do it. It's going to be based on inspection periods. So again, price, time of the escrow. And the escrow, again, we covered that in another video, but the escrow again is from when we get an accepted offer, both parties agree, and we give it to the third party title company. How long from the time of agreement to the time of you getting keys, the buyer getting keys and the seller having to be out, how long do we want that window to be? So again, how long until you get keys is what you can call it, or close. And again, traditionally speaking, under 30 days is what it looks like. Sellers might want that to be longer. That's where I always call those sellers agents, and I make sure exactly what is appealing to that seller. I want to know what the seller's goals are. I want to know what they're thinking, what their main bottom line is, what their personality is, and I kind of probe that selling agent trying to get that information for us, because if I can get that info for you, that means we have the best opportunity outside of all of our other competition to win out, because it's not always about the dollars. Sometimes it is. Each seller is a little different. Sometimes the seller just says, give me the top dollar bottom amount. That's all I want to know. What the dollar is I'm going to yield it. It's just based on purchase price. And that's fine. Everyone's entitled to what their goal is. And that being said, if I talk to that agent and they tell us that, then we can strategize our offer when we submit that offer to meet that. The next thing's going to be what's called an earnest money deposit. It's kind of like an ante if you play poker, or if you it basically, we have to put some kind of skin in the game, is a term you can kind of call it. So we have to show that we're committed to going through with the transaction, and that we are going to operate contractually. And if we don't, you technically are at risk of losing that earnest money deposit. I've been blessed enough to never have a client lose that earnest money deposit, nor myself on any properties. So again, it's very T&I. It's very just do these things in this particular order, and or back out before a given date for a given reason. It's very specific, and there's nothing to risk to you there. But just know that when we submit that offer, we do have to put some kind of skin in the game. Depending what type of loan you're doing, sometimes it's easier to do a large amount, sometimes it's just easier to do a small amount. Traditionally speaking, where we're located at, the industry standard is technically 1% of the purchase price as an earnest money down deposit. The way the earnest money deposit works is if you decide you don't want to go through the transaction and you want to pull the money out, we have to cancel in a very specific order, but you can get that money back if we decide not to proceed forward with the home. If we do proceed forward, that gets applied to your down payment or closing costs. Anywhere within the transaction, it gets applied to. It's your money, it's just in a wireless account, so to say, and it gets applied to that overall balance at the very end. Next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to have to notate what type of loan we're going to do in there. So are we doing a VA, cash, conventional, we're doing construction, we're doing creative, we're doing seller financing. We got to notate that in that document. And then the next thing we're going to go down to is we're going to be covering the inspection period, how long we want to have to be able to inspect the property or learn about the community. And then there's, again, all of these dynamics tend to have standard numbers, and you can update those as we see fit. And that's where we can get really competitive. So if we know the seller's like wanting to get locked in here really quick, but they need a long time to do the escrow, a way we can win that out is we do a shorter inspection period, but then we can kind of stretch everything else out. So we can go really fast and know that the house is truly in as good a shape as it is and that we truly want it. And then from there, we can take our time. Works out pretty well. It gives the seller some confidence in us, and it shows how committed we are. The next dynamic is how fast we're going to get an appraisal done. Traditionally speaking, you could usually make that the same as the inspection period time and get it all done at the same batch, but the appraisal period is slightly longer than the inspection period because the appraisal can take a little bit longer. In this given circumstance at the time this video is being recorded, appraisals are taking quite a bit longer, and so we're running past those deadlines and you're having to readjust it. And unfortunately, that's kind of where everybody is at because there's so much demand due to, at this time, low interest rates, refinancing, and buying. There's just a huge overload of that limb of the transaction. So the appraisal dynamic is pretty overloaded right now, and that's where we're just trying to catch up. The next boat is going to be, we're going to have to notate a loan period. And so the loan period is going to be where, how long do we have to make sure we can close this for sure, that our lenders is happy, that they're going to give us the money, that they're happy with the value of the property, they're happy with the property in general, you're happy with the property, that basically how long until we know that the bank will give us that final money. That tends to be, again, longer than the appraisal because they need that appraisal to wrap up the file. But there's going to be this limbo of, give or take a couple days, a day or two, from that last period being released to the closing and you getting potentially keys. That is because there's that full guarantee, everybody's locked in, and now it's just a matter of the funds transferring and then being recorded with county and the keys getting the keys. So that's what submitting an offer is. We notate all those things. There's little extra nuances. So for example, you can check that you want particular items to remain with the home, a shelf or a light fixture that's not supposed to be included. You can do, you can notate if you don't want blinds or you don't want certain things left behind, or if you do want certain things left behind. You can notate all these within that offer that we would submit. As well, within that document, there's a whole slurry of things. There's things about what to do if there's a tenant in the house. There's things to do with if we're going to let the seller rent back, meaning we're going to let them stay longer after we've closed and you should technically get keys. You just are the legal owner on paper with the county and everybody, but they still have possession of it for a little bit longer. That's all within that offer. You can check boxes to allow that to occur. Within the offer, you're going to be able to cover in more rural properties. You'll cover who's going to pay for a well inspection or septic or any kind of inspections of any kind. You can actually obligate those to one or the other party. You're also going to cover in that who's going to pay for things like title and escrow and title insurance, all those dynamics, taxes, city taxes, state taxes, everything. You kind of cover all those things within this offer. And there are standards that are traditionally speaking done in a given area, and that's where we kind of just go forward with those, where you just go through that. You're also going to be able to notate what kind of home warranty you want. So some folks, if you're a repeat buyer or you have family who's given you some input or you've researched some stuff, home warranty is traditionally included with the purchase of a home. and we'll cover what that is here and the benefits and pros and cons to it. But you'll notate who's going to pay for it, what kind of provider you want on it, and what kind of things you want covered. As well, with our offer, you're able to notate in what appliances you might want left behind. It's a big thing. Sometimes you don't realize the cost of appliances until you move in, and you're like, oh, $1,000 there, $1,000 there, there and there and there, or a couple thousand here and there. Adds up quick, especially if you just burn funds to do the down payment, and if you've got any underlying construction items you got to take care of with property. So, food for thought. The offer can be very simple, or it can be very complex. My recommendation: make it simple, clean cut, nice and easy. We'll structure that offer to your personal goals as well as the buyer, as well as the personal goals of the seller. And that's where I pride myself in reaching out to that seller, probing, and getting out what we need to do to make that seller happy. Again, this is a collaboration with me and the seller's agent. So seller's agent is not cooperating with us. I can usually get some kind of info, but sometimes we have to go off of limited stuff. And then it does come down to just bottom line things of, hey, highest dollar and the cleanest transaction and the shortest time period till they get their money and you get keys. That's traditionally speaking, highest dollar amount, cleanest terms, and the fastest terms. So traditionally speaking, if we want to win everything, use those three things there and we should win. But again, I'll be there to help guide you through the process if you do consider to ever buy or sell. But to buy, I'll be happy to help you with that. And that is what submitting an offer is and what it entails. So thank you again for tuning in to Casual Convo with Zack Scicluna here. Wish you well, and please like, subscribe, comment down below. I do love hearing from you guys, and please do send over your referrals to our link, and we'll be happy to get you entered into our getaway weekend trip. And we're doing the monthly raffles. And so again, if you're tuning in for the first time, we have our repeat clients, so clients who bought or sold with us in the past. On your annual anniversary date, you'll be raffled in to win one of those weekend gatherings, weekend getaways. And then as you refer folks to us, you can have never bought or sold a home with us, but if you know somebody that's going to sell and you're watching these videos, please send that referral along. Or if there's somebody you just know that wants information on real estate, please send the referral. We'll enter them and you into win one of the weekend getaways for that month. And again, it resets every month, and we'll just keep it going. So thank you again for everybody that supports us. We love and appreciate you, and stay well. Thank you again for tuning in.